Meanwhile, about 45 health staff of the Winneba Trauma and Specialist Hospital have been asked to go home and self-isolate pending the outcome of their COVID-19 test results. According to the management of the hospital, the staff have been exposed to a COVID-19 patient who stayed in their facility for a week. 3 units of the hospital have been shut down as a result. Richard Kojonyako joins us with an update. Richard, what more do we know about this case that came in?
45 staff of the Winneba Trauma and Specialist Hospital, they've been asked to go home and self-isolate. This follows COVID-19 patient that they got exposed to. The person used the 2 main wards or 2 main units, the accident and emergency unit, and then the male unit as well. And so this has sparked some concerns among the house staff. They say that they have family members, they are going home. Now their samples have been taken, and so if they go home, they do not know their status, and it takes a very long time for their test results to also come in. And so they are urging them to fast-track the working on the test samples so that they could receive them in time. Then they don't expose their family members as well as other associates of theirs. This man came, we are told that he showed some symptoms of COVID-19, but because they did not have a holding bay, even though Winneba, the trauma hospital, has been designated by the Regional Health Administration as a treatment center, but they do not have a holding bay. So if they had a holding bay, they would have held the man there pending the outcome of the test samples, and then he would have been sent to the treatment center. And so that is why some of these 45 health staff have been exposed, and now they have to go home and self-isolate.
Richard, help me understand this. The trauma center was designated as a treatment center for COVID, right?
Exactly.
But they don't have a place to keep COVID-19 patients.
Yes, so people that they suspect have, they suspect they have COVID-19,
yeah.
And so if the people come to their facility, they still hold them at the general facility. So in this case,
with other patients.
Exactly. And then the health officials would have to attend to the person directly without sending the person to the holding bay and then pending the outcome, and then the person will be sent to the treatment center. Have
the hospital authorities responded to this in any way?
Well, they sent the message by way of update to the health staff, and so the health staff, they have taken notice of that one, but they are complaining that there are inadequate PPEs because when the man was brought in, the man was clearly showing symptoms of who a COVID-19 patient is, and then instead of doing something about it, the person was kept in these units until the test samples were brought.
Richard Kojonyako, thanks so much for joining us. Now, away from that story, the police have discovered an illegal cannabis cultivating enclave in the Esojamine district of the Eastern region. According to them, the enclave nestled between Boso and Peki around the Tome Mountains measured hundreds of acres. It took a joint operation by the National and Recreational Drug Law Enforcement Unit of the Criminal Investigations Department, CID, Special Weapons and Tactics SWAT teams, and the Peki Divisional Police Command to discover the enclave. There's more in the following report by Fred Kwame Asari.
The enclave appeared to be a safe haven for the cultivation of cannabis. The entire land area around the Tome Mountain in between Peki and Boso is covered with several acres of cannabis plantation. Each plantation is demarcated with rows of corn and has a hamlet and compound which provides space for resting and processing of the harvested cannabis. The director in charge of the Drug Law Enforcement Unit at the CID headquarters, Superintendent David Selom Chukbuche, led a team of about 60 officers to destroy the cannabis plantations.
In fact, the whole of this enclave, it appears, has been abused for this purpose. We hope that they'll change their mind to cultivate food crops such as maize, beans, cassava, and so on and so forth. Looking at the enclave, I can say we have over hundreds of acres, because that mountain that you see, some of our men already, our intel guys have gone there. So I mean, we have to do all that and go to all other places. So I would say we destroy about 20%. And even that, we have to deploy drones. We deploy drones, and that assisted us even to discover that. Much of the work is done by manually, and we have some motorized cutters that also help us to go that far.
He indicated that the investigations led to the arrest of 2 persons suspected to be involved in the cultivation of cannabis.
We work with information, and our operations are largely fed with information gathering, processing them into intelligence, and then we would convert them into actionable ones. Okay, so yeah, so it is one of those processes that we pick information, and then it was very successful. We had an individual first, and that led to the arrest of second person, and we are still working hard to arrest everybody behind this.
The Narcotics Control Commission Bill of 2019 was passed into law earlier this year, paving way for the formation of the Narcotics Control Board to oversee the industrial use of narcotic substances such as cannabis. However, Superintendent Chukbuche indicated the law does not allow the possession and use of cannabis for recreational purposes.
Or everybody interested in the cultivation of cannabis, that they should exercise patience. When the things are put in place properly, they can apply to the Ministry of Interior, and then all other due diligence will be done, and then they'll be permitted. So their activity is properly regularized, instead of always being at the wrong side of the law, and forcing us also to enforce the law to the letter. But the law still disallow the use of cannabis for recreational purpose, abuse and things like that. So that is different from the authorization that may be given if you apply for a permit or license to indulge in this business. Many people think that the new law allows people to possess cannabis anyhow, it's free for all, you can smoke it, you can do whatever you like. No, we should all get acquainted with the law, the new law, and then get educated on it so that we don't fall foul of the law. I think it's very important that we take notice of this.
The farmers blocked the access road to the enclave at 2 sections with an electricity pole and cement blocks to protest their displeasure on the police destroying their cannabis plantations. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Boso.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament's Finance Committee, Isaac Adongo, says Ghana lost 100 million cedis as revenue at the ports over a 3-day period in April because of mismanagement of the GCNet Unipass transition. He says the loss in revenue has continued till date, causing huge losses to the country. Mr. Adongo is calling on government to allow GCNet continue running operations instead of handing over to Unipass.
Entries are not going through at KIA, Kotoka International Airport, and the clearance are now being asked to pay a deposit for their cargo and take them home and come back later to rectify. So clearly, we are losing money. In Tema, no single end-to-end transaction has gone through since 1st June. They are claiming that it is a transition from West Blue. What it means is that this will continue because since 1st June, vessels are arriving in droves. And we know MPS is now taking bigger vessels. And yet not a single transaction has gone through since 1st June. So you can imagine 10 days of backlog of shipment. So we are not making money at the port. Out of 750 clearing agents that were connected to the West Blue GCNet system to enable the workload to be shared equally, only 450 are now hooked onto this manual system. What is the system flow? It's not here. None is here. What it then means is that we don't have control. Nobody has a complete overview of what is happening at the port. And we have brought back the long room type of operations to the port in order to facilitate under-high dealings and loss of revenue into private pockets.
National Insurance Commission is being urged to extend the deadline for insurance companies to meet the new minimum capital requirement. According to insurance marketer Edgar Redu, this has become necessary as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Redu believes the emergence of the disease has crippled a lot of businesses, for which the insurance industry is no exception. Bismarck Awusa has more.
In 2019, regulator of the insurance industry, NIC, moved to increase the minimum capital required by insurers to operate in the industry, a move it's justified as part of plans to increase the sector's market offering. Subsequently, companies were given up to June 2021 to meet the new levels. But according to insurance expert Edgar Redu, most insurance companies may struggle to meet the deadline as a result of the negative impact the COVID-19 pandemic has had on individuals and businesses.
What NIC is trying to do is trying to make sure that the insurance companies are strong by way of having solid balance sheets. But the angle that they're taking it from, in my view, is the wrong place.
Mr. Redu also raised some concerns about the NIC's approach to handling the capital adequacy matters for insurers.
You are asking each one to bring in, all the insurance companies to bring, 50 million. You're asking the reinsurance companies to make about 125 million, right? I'll say, okay, fine. Look, let them maintain their 15 million, but then the 35 million, put it in that deposit. Put it in that deposit at the central bank. Put it together. When you put it together, you will get over 2 billion cedis. And that is 5 times the capital required for the minimum operating of a bank. The next thing you realize is that you would even become the biggest bank.
Some groups like the Ghana Insurers Association and the Insurance Brokers Association of Ghana are currently in talks with the National Insurance Commission for possible extension of the 2021 deadline for meeting the minimum capital requirement. Bismarck Awusa, Joy Business.
More business news at 1 o'clock on the marketplace. Up next, sports.
The Ghana FA sent a proposal to the government requesting for financial support, but many believe that there are more pressing issues than football. Mr. Senaye claims there has been no research on the importance of football in Ghana's economic growth, and that's making it difficult for people to believe otherwise. According to him, the football industry is undervalued.
Every match that clubs are involved in, by way of gate fee, we pay 17.5% of VAT. We also, those who are limited by shares, end of the year, if profit is declared, they pay corporate tax. We pay all that taxes. Football drive the local tourism economy. If Inter-Allies travel to Brekum, it means that we are going to occupy one hotel there, 15 rooms in total. We are going to sleep there 2 days. We spend money there. On the match day, the folks in Brekum also involved in other activities, selling water and the rest. Football contributes hugely on the local economy through tourism. But our industry is underrated. Our industry is not known. There has been no scientific research to know the economic importance of football in our economy.
With the pandemic causing distress in nearly every single sector, Mr. Dalaye Senaye has advised that clubs must take the initiative of seeking for insurance cover to protect clubs in case of future pandemics.
I'm very much of the view that after this crisis, clubs should take steps to take insurance cover against unforeseen like this, so that if it does happen again, we can fall on such protection. I think the way to go is to insure against future occurrence of situations like this, unforeseen situations like this. I think